parting gift, I have prepared a list of therapists local to you. Also attached is documentation on how to properly complete a dissolution of marriage application.
I've typically dated Caucasians. That's just kind of where I've normally gone.
I'm just going to say I love that the producers have decided to bring the receipts. I love it because the receipts will always show the truth about what happened. The fact that they showed how the sort of David and Michelle situation started. They showed Michelle opening her top and bottom lip and saying she didn't want to marry a person of color. And yet you have this person of color breaking up his marriage just because he likes the idea of this girl with blonde hair. Make that make sense. And then, oh my God, I'm here for Emem reading for filth. Ikechi, I'm here for that. He deserved that. And for him to look at the camera and say, you see what I had to go through. Well, you are not the perfect husband. You are not the ideal husband. I think if you were Alan and you were treated like that, or if you had behaved like Alan and had been treated or had been read for Phil, then we would all be calling out Emem. But you treated her terribly. So whatever you say doesn't hold water. Anyway, hey there. Thanks for stopping by. It's your girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Click the like button. Turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos. And definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Married at First Sight, Season 18, Episode 16. So we pick up from Madison and Michelle's conversation. And I'm side-eyeing Michelle because we all know she doesn't care. She's after coming out as the victim. This is what she's after. It's because she knows that the first half of the season, she came across as the villain. So she's trying to paint herself into a victim, but an empowered victim. At that, for her to be that confrontational didn't make sense. She had more vim for Madison than she did for her own marriage. So make it make sense. I think because she didn't get what she wanted, or because the conversation didn't go as she expected it to be, we didn't really see their back and forth. And I'm side-eyeing the producers that there's something that Madison said that made it seemed like, Michelle wasn't actually the victim. Is that why we didn't get it? Did she actually tell Michelle the truth about herself and how she treated David? Make it make sense? So because she didn't get the attention that she wanted, Michelle then went and started playing victim to Emem. And it's like, Emem has her own issues. Leave her alone. Leave her alone. So Camille, she has, she's just there. She's just following because she doesn't understand what's going on. She's not in the beef. Camille has said she's friends with David. So she went in and she sat in there and she listened. And what I liked was they listened, but they judged. Emem and Camille listened, but they judged, because you could tell by the look on their face, their body language, that they were not buying into whatever nonsense this woman was trying to sell them. And this is why at one point Camille said to Michelle, so what is your problem with this whole situation? Because at the end of the day, we all know she didn't like this man. We all know she didn't want this marriage with this man. We all know that the moment she saw him and she realized that he lived with his parents, she checked out. So I am happy that Camille actually asked her, so what is it that's, upsetting you about this whole situation? And then for her to turn around and say she was lied to. No, she's upset because she got outplayed. She thought she was going to play in David's face, but David outplayed her. For her to continue saying, oh, he still says he's a nice guy, he's a nice guy, he's a nice guy. Michelle expected to come out the victor in this situation, and she didn't expect David to play her. So for him to play in her face and for her to realize that he actually upgraded, this is something that's not sitting very well with her. And Michelle was sort of expecting, I think, Emem and Camille to sort of back her and be all in and whatever. I'm happy that they knew their place and they stayed in their place. It would have been a different case altogether had Emem or Camille been going through something and one of them didn't step up for the other. But they know the truth about the situation, because obviously David was confiding in Camille because he's friends with Camille. So as much as he confided in Madison and they started something, he was also confiding in his friend Camille. So Camille must know some facts that this lady thinks she doesn't know, and that's why I think she was side-eyeing them. And for Michelle to say, I can't stay here anymore, I can't put up with it, it's like, ma'am, you didn't like this man, you were only waiting for a reason, now you've got a reason, now you're making a mountain out of a molehill, make it make sense. So they then left with Emem. Poor Emem, I think should have been better off staying, but then she couldn't stay because she's the one who gave Michelle a ride, so she needed to go back with her, although production gave them a ride, and it's like, oh my God, this is a hot mess. In the morning, you have Madison having a confessional saying she wants to talk to people. It's been a very rough night. And it's like, girl, you knew what you were doing. You made your bed, it's time to lay in it. You knew what you were doing. You knew this man was married. It's not like you didn't know or he lied to you. You knew you was married. You knew who his wife was. So it's up to you to deal with that hot mess. I love Camila and Thomas. They're in the bed busy talking about their security system and the fact that they're happy that the security system is able to protect them. And it's like, what about this whole place that's on fire? Can you not see the fire burning? I love how they mind their own business. Yeah, they did talk about the fact that it was a dumpster fire. But at the end of the day, it's a dumpster fire that has nothing to do with them. And I think Camila is thanking her lucky stars that she was matched with David, and I'm here for it. You have, David, he's sitting in the lounge. He doesn't know what to do with himself. He's very stressed. And you have Juan come in. Juan will make me laugh. Because Juan had a conversation with him and actually told him that the truth of the matter, that you want someone like Alan in your corner. You want someone like Alan who's going to motivate you, inspire you, and back you up and be your loudest cheerleader in the room, in your corner. And you and he were friends, and for you to do what you did is unacceptable. And also the fact that you and Madison started your thing this way, this is going to be very hard for the two of you, because trust is going to be an issue. That's the truth. Because every time Madison sees David speaking to another female, she's going to start wondering, is he doing the same thing he did to Michelle with me? And every time she does the same thing, he's going to be worried about the same thing. And so it's a pity that David didn't have a long-term picture. He was more interested in what he wanted in regards to his feelings. He could have easily found himself a girl elsewhere. He didn't need to be in the middle of that situation. He stood to benefit more from a relationship with Alan than he did with Madison. But that's just my opinion. You have David. I think the producers asked him to go and see Madison. He checked on her. She is stressed. He's stressed. Madison is saying, I need to speak to people in small groups. I need to have a conversation. And it's like, I don't think they want to hear from you, love. I think you are going to be speaking to yourself. She finds out that Michelle is left, and she's I think she was looking for a way of how do I confront Michelle. So she finds out Michelle is left, and she's now in a situation whereby she doesn't know what to do next, because she knows everyone will be side-eyeing her. You have the guys in the kitchen with Camille making breakfast, and then Madison finally makes an appearance. I'm here for Carla. I love Carla because when she comes out, she asks for an update. So Madison pulls her aside with Camille to go and have a conversation. And you have Thomas just looking at them, because Thomas is feeling some type of way about this whole mess. So they sit down for a conversation, and Madison starts to sort of explain what's happened. And I love that Carla stood on business and told her that this is grimy, this is dirty, this is disloyal, because at the end of the day, we are supposed to be each other's safe space. We're supposed to be able to speak freely amongst one another. But if I'm speaking freely to you, and then you're going behind my back and having an inappropriate relationship or conversation with my husband, then I'm not here for it. So I love that she set boundaries, and she told Madison that, Madison, you and I, we were friends, but we have to sort of take steps back. I'm going to preserve my safe space, you preserve your safe space, because the trust has been broken, because I went out with you and David. So it makes me start to have questions in regards, what else did I miss when we were out? Because people could easily blame her and say, you were the one who was facilitating this thing, when she wasn't. She was just an innocent bystander. So I love that she sort of set the boundaries to say, I knew nothing about this, I don't want anything to do with this, and please take 10 steps back, and I'll take 10 steps back, and we'll keep it stepping. I loved that. And I think realizing that the girls are not on her team was an eye-opener. It was really an eye-opener for Madison, because I think watching and realizing that no one is supporting her is the reason why she packed her bags and left. She went to say goodbye to David, and David was saying, I'm here, I was just waiting for you. But I think realizing that everybody can see through her hot mess, and everybody's calling her and David out and telling them that you're lying to us, that this only started yesterday or recently. This has been going on for a long time, and the two of you didn't have the decency to be honest. And I love this, and I'm here for it. You have Alan come back to pick up his car, because they had to drive him home because he was that furious and he was intoxicated. So he didn't want to be in the same house as anybody else. So he left, he went, and then he comes back in the morning to pick up his stuff. And you have the ladies come and say sort of goodbye to him. You have Camille and Carla, and they're sort of making it known to him that they didn't know anything about this hot mess. I love that Carla actually made it clear that she did not know anything about it. She wasn't supportive of it, and she didn't want anything to do with medicine. And so for them to sort of encourage him that you will get over this. Yes, it might seem like the end of the world at the moment, but there will come a time when you realize that, oh, this is a thing of the past. You're a better person than this. You have grown, you've evolved. Even their husbands, I love that they were very supportive of him. I know you had Tom say in his confessional that at this point in time, he is Team Michelle because he cannot support how things played out with David, even though David is his friend. And that's the problem that David has, in the sense that everybody was empathizing with David. Everybody was there supporting David, including people like Alan, because of everything he was going through with Michelle. And so the idea that he then went from that to suddenly going after somebody he knew Alan was trying to make things work with is what is baffling to everyone, given the fact that they were friends. I love that Alan said, you can't choose who you fall in love with. But at the end of the day, the way this was carried out, I don't like. The fact that Madison played in my face and made me believe that things were going somewhere when she knew for a fact that she was done with me. I don't like that. And I support him 100%. She didn't need to play in his face. She could have told him, I'm sorry, but this is not working. There's no connection here. Let us keep it stepping. And Alan would have been okay with that. I think production tried to separate Alan and David because David was nowhere to be found when Alan came. But then once Alan had left, you had David pack up his stuff and tell everyone that he's leaving. Apparently, the only reason he had stayed was because he wanted to support Madison. And once Madison left, he left. And it's like, okay, it is what it is. It is what it is. The two of you know you're on fire. You know this is hot. And I can't wait to see what the experts say when they meet up with you two, because this is unacceptable. They should not be encouraging it because it sets a really bad precedence in the sense that people will end up coming to the experiment to find their own person. Carla was right to say there are over 1 million guys out there. Why would you choose a friend's husband? Let's keep it 100. Michelle is enjoying playing victim. Why did she need to phone Pastor Carl to tell him? I think she's looking for validation from people. She wants people to sort of adore her and be empathizing with her and be so there, supportive and whatever. But I'm sorry, but I don't condone cheating. I don't. Michelle doesn't warrant any empathy or sympathy from anyone, as far as I'm concerned. She is just as bad as David. The only difference is she treated him badly, he cheated. They're just as bad. They cancel each other out. So the audacity to try and tell Pastor Carl and to try and look for empathy from people, to try and, play victim, I haven't yet cried. I don't care. I really don't care. And I don't want to hear it anymore. Anyway, you have the two couples left at, the couples retreat, Carla and Juan, and Camille and Thomas. They're busy playing basketball. Obviously, it's Camille's field, so she's going to win because she was a professional, basketball player. I love that they were sort of very supportive and sort of reflexive when they spoke about the fact that they came in, they had a lot of respect for their partners, they were honest with their partners, and this is why they are where they are. Yes, they are on two different parts. Camille and Thomas are way further ahead as compared to everybody else. Whereas compared to Carla and Juan, I don't know whether they're going to have an amazing friendship after the experiment, or I don't see anything romantic because they haven't done anything romantic unless they're keeping it away from the cameras and they're doing the work privately. So I hope they're doing some sort of work in regards to their connection and they're sort of seeing a way forward as a married couple after the experiment. But I loved that they all reflected on their journey and they were grateful for where they were as couples. So I really love this. You have Alan meet up with Michelle for reasons best known to her. I don't get it. She's trying to milk his grief. She's trying to milk empathy from him or anyone with ears to hear. And I'm not buying it and I'm not here for it. I really am not. And I don't care what happens. I'm not here for it. At the end of the day, she didn't need to break this man the way she did. At the end of the day, she could have gone to David and said to David, this is what I suspect. I need you to go and tell Alan the truth. Without her going to tell Alan first before David went there, it didn't need to be blown out of proportion. At the end of the day, she was looking for empathy from the group and she didn't get it and she decided to taint everyone. She didn't need to go and tell Alan about her suspicions about Michelle. She should have gone to Michelle and said, Michelle, I have a feeling that this message was for you. And if it was for you, I'd rather you tell Alan and not let him hear from somebody else. Let's keep it 100. And she should have gone to David and said exactly the same thing and asked him to tell Alan. She didn't need to be involved in telling Alan. There was no need for Alan to come and see her. outside of the fact that she's just trying to play victim. Mavs is crazy. The way they had the receipts for every interaction between Madison and David, it's like this has been going back from, I think, day one. I think there was an instant spark when they saw one another. I think David, this was his type, and he was excited when he saw her, and she was excited when she saw him. And so they kept it going until eventually they decided to sort of explore it further. So I love that Mavs came with the receipts. Mavs is not playing. If you do stupid stuff, they'll give you stupid prizes. You have Camille and Thomas. They're packing up. They're going. I think production decided to wrap up because they realized that they wouldn't get enough material for the episode because these are two peaceful couples. So there's not going to be any mess or toxicity. I think if the other couples had stayed, then they would have filmed the rest of the couples retreat. But because there were two couples that are very peaceful and very mindful, they decided to let everybody else go. For Thomas to say to Camille, I was still expecting you to wear the lingerie. And she said, maybe after decision day. And it's like, Camille, don't. Just tell him when you get back to the apartment, you'll wear it for him. I think he's already seen it. I think they were just doing it for filming. Otherwise, they're good. Carla apparently was packing like Usain Bolt. She wanted to leave this place, so she had her bags packed. And Juan was actually laughing at her that you were so fast when you packed your stuff. I was like, I love it for them. I love it. I love how peaceful they were, the two couples. It's a pity that everybody else wasn't that peaceful because it would have been nice to have at least one couples retreat where there's no tantramics, but then that wouldn't be Mavs. So both couples leave the retreat and they're going back to their apartments, and it's the sweetest thing ever. I love it. You have Alan go to his apartment with Madison to pick up his stuff. He is still feeling some type of way. He's still very upset. He burnt the vows. He burnt the picture. And he's doing his Angela Bassett waiting to exhale moment. And I'm here for it. If you're upset, hey, if that gives you relief, do you. What else can you do? Because at the moment, he is still spiraling. Grief is very difficult to navigate. And he's grieving the loss of the relationship. I'm happy that he's still continuing with his transformation because he's going to be a good-looking guy for the next girl he sees. All the changes that Madison has put in him, someone else is going to benefit and appreciate. Yes, he has spoken about the worry that he might take this baggage into his next relationship, but I think he will find his person. He definitely will. I wish they'd actually cast Alan with Emem. I'm going to continue to say that until eternity. I'm going to ask Mavs for a favor. Since we're moving to Peacock, can we get the production that we had in earlier seasons, maybe season 1 to 10, back and maybe swap out a couple of people? Because whoever came up with the genius idea of David meeting up with his friend, really, I don't know. I'm side-eyeing you. There was no need for Tommy to come. That conversation didn't need to be had. Because at the end of the day, that is not a friend. Someone who co-signs your wrongs is not a friend. You want a friend who will co-sign your rights and also pull you back when you're doing something wrong. At the end of the day, the friend should have told him the truth. This is a bad look for the two of you. Because the two of you were in marriages to other people and yet you still went ahead to explore a connection between the two of you. This is not a good look. This is not a good look. At this point in time, the two of you need to take a moment and ask yourself, is this what you really want? Or do you feel like you want to sort of take a step back and try and sort of maybe make amends with your ex-partners before you even consider exploring a connection? For the friend to tell him that, if this is what you want, then the two of you have to go for it. Go for what? She's still legally married to Alan. He's still legally married technically to Michelle. So what are we saying? What are we saying? I don't get it and I don't understand it. And I don't like yes man in someone's corner. That friend wasn't needed. You have Michelle go and pack up her stuff after Alan's packed his stuff up. She phones a friend. She's busy crying to a friend that, I really need to speak to him and I should have been the one to speak to him. I should have been the one to explain everything to him first. And it's like, it's still not as good. It's still not a good look either way. He would still have been devastated. You should have told him the nights back to back that you're coming home after 1 o'clock in the morning. You should have told him I'm exploring a connection with someone, but you made him believe you wanted your marriage to work. So the idea that now you've been caught with your hand in the cookie jar, you're crying, oh, I need to speak to Alan. He doesn't want to speak to me. What do I need to do? Her friend was right to say you need to give him a moment. She needs to give him a moment, if not even a year. And allow him to go through whatever he's going through. When he's ready, he'll contact her. If he's not ready, then toughies. She has to keep it stepping. She will find her person in the next chapter. But there's no need for her to cry and play victim and, oh, me? Why is Alan not talking to me? What do you think, Sherlock Holmes? What do you think? You played stupid games and now you won a stupid prize. So let's keep it stepping. You have the experts, Pastor Carl, Dr. Pia, and Dr. Pepper. Yay! Meet up with Emem and Ikechi. And I think they were told about that marriage thingy, that whatever, that dissolution papers that you brought or whatever nonsense. So they meet up, and then with Emem, she is there. She explains what happened. And then Ikechi arrives. He doesn't even greet the experts. He goes to sit down with his little silly hat. And so he's trying to sort of... Well, Pastor Carl is asking him, why did you feel the need to bring the paper there? Did you want to embarrass her or something? No, I didn't want to embarrass her. What did you think you were doing, Sherlock Holmes? What was the intention behind that? Why didn't you come in, sit down, have dinner with everyone, wait until people were relaxed and were sort of in their little corners and then pull her aside? No, you wanted to create a scenario and here is where you are. read him for filth and I'm here. For him to try and say, you see what I went through, this is why I didn't want this marriage. No, you didn't want this marriage because this woman is very accomplished. The audacity to give him, paperwork to explain how to draft a divorce, divorce papers, and also to give him referral for psychiatrists. Oh my God, I'm here for it. I am here for it. I know it's petty, but it's the petty that I like, the petty that I love, just the right dose. I'm happy she got to speak her piece, and I'm happy the experts got to see it. Yes, Dr. Pia tried to tell her, that was a bit off. And she said, no, I did that for free. I normally charge, so you're welcome. And it's like, okay, what do you do? I think she'd had enough. Do I think she told him off during their marriage? Yes. But at the end of the day, that doesn't warrant his behavior. He used to instigate fights, and then when she kicks off, then he would go ahead and say, look what she does. Look, this is why I don't want to be with her. He didn't want to be with her from the jump. He didn't. He was looking for an excuse, and when he found his excuse, he then kept it stepping. His family said the woman that he wants is someone who doesn't exist. Well, we've seen it. I love that Pastor Carl said, I wish you all the best in your new relationships. Well, watching it, I think people are going to have first, second, third opinions about them, and no one is going to be sort of ready to just jump into something with the two of them. They both need therapy. Madison, I really want to like her, but it's the audacity for me. It's the audacity. For her to say they're going to meet up with the experts and she hopes that the experts don't tell her off, but actually understand where she and David are coming from. It's the audacity for me. It's the delusion for me. It's the delusion because seriously, you know that you've hurt one person. I don't even care what's happening with that woman, Michelle, because I think Michelle is playing it up for the cameras. But you know that you've hurt Alan, and yet you're saying you don't want anyone to be upset with you. Make that make sense? How does 1 + 1 = 2 to you? Anyway, they meet up with the experts, and the experts were not having it. And I'm here for it. They were not having it because they really gave them a piece of their mind because they needed to. And it's the receipts for me, them showing, or them bringing out the fact that she said she didn't want to marry a person of color. And yet David is sitting there, he's pouring his heart out to her. Oh, I get giddy, I get this. How are you giddy over someone who doesn't want to marry someone that looks like you? That should be enough for you. Because had she said she was open to marrying a person of color, the producers might have, the experts might have set you up with him. But you said you didn't want to marry a person of color. You only sort of dated Caucasian people, and that's where you were heading. Make it make sense? And her face, oh yes, I did say that, but I have dated a person of color. Well, you should have said it then. If you've dated a person of color, so they are okay to date, but they're not okay to marry. Make that make sense? I didn't get that. And I don't understand how David goes into this. I get giddy. People say I'm so excited when I talk about her. And I love that the experts poured water on that and told him, she doesn't date. She doesn't see herself marrying a person of color. And also this could be a rebound relationship, which is true. It could be a rebound relationship. And the two of them know it. And he is spilling his guts to her when she is saying, I need a moment to think about this and see if this is what I want. That should be enough answer for you to tell you that this is not going anywhere. This woman is not going anywhere. It might fizzle out. That's a strong possibility. And you should be prioritizing yourself and sort of protecting your heart, because if she could treat Alan the way she treated him, how will she treat you? Make that make sense? How will she treat you? And so this is why I say people need to be mindful of what they ask for when they go on Married at First Sight. Because I think had Emem been open to the idea of marrying outside her race, they would have matched her with Alan, and they would have been an amazing couple. And they would have matched Madison with David, and they could have been a great couple. Ikechi and Michelle, I can only imagine that would have been a dumpster fire, and I would have been here for it. But hey, people weren't honest, and the producers decided to bring the receipts, and I'm here for it, and I love it. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 15. Bye guys.